Coming up on AgweekTV, the Farm Bill has expired. We'll have the latest on what's next. It's Bison Roundup time in South Dakota. We'll take you to Custer State Park for the annual event. Our Ag Week driving tour continues in eastern North Dakota. And we'll show you where they're developing new uses for soybeans. Welcome to AgweekTV. I'm Emily Beal, and welcome to our new viewers finding us on KSFL from Sioux Falls. Congress avoided a government shutdown at the end of September, but took no major action towards agricultural legislation. The 2018 Farm Bill expired on September 30th, and so far, no new bill has been presented to replace it. The expiration of the Farm Bill doesn't mean that all programs within the massive legislation end. Many of the programs within the bill are funded through separate legislation, like crop insurance, commodity programs, and nutrition and conservation programs. The next Farm Bill date to watch for is December 31st. If no new bill is in place or the 2018 bill isn't extended by then, some farm programs revert to laws from 1938 or 1949. Farm bills in those years were passed without expiration dates. More than 20,000 people gathered to watch 60 cowboys and cowgirls round up 1,500 bison in the 58th annual Buffalo Roundup. We traveled to Custer State Park in South Dakota for this week's Ag Week cover story.
This is Colby Brown's first time riding in the Buffalo Roundup. He's one of 15 people from the draw to join the other riders in this year's event.
I was excited, and you kind of got nervous because you're like, what is it about? What do I need to do? And what do all they need? Is my horse going to be good to go?
He's been preparing his horse Blue for the ride by completing trail rides through the Black Hills, and now the team is ready for the challenge.
The intimidation and to see how my horse reacts being that close to something she's not used to.
For some riders like Jim Strait, the Roundup is a yearly tradition.
It's a lot of fun. You get to see a lot of the same people every year and get out and see the beautiful country and get to see the buffalo and get to chase the buffalo.
But the Roundup is about more than just fun. It's a tool for herd management in the park.
We'll bring them down to our corral system for their yearly check. At that point, we're going to vaccinate them, brand the calves, pregnancy check the cows, and just see who's going to stay within the herd and who we're going to auction off so we can bring our numbers down to our winter numbers for our rangelands.
For the calves, they're getting a respiratory vaccine. Pyramid 5 with pre-spons is the one that we typically use just because it's very nice, very smooth vaccine. It protects them against most of the upper respiratory infections that young bovids can get, and then another one is a vaccine for clostridial infections that can cause any numerous number of diseases, and then they also get dewormed to get rid of the internal parasites that they pick up.
Bison can be a tricky animal to work with.
They're aggressive and they don't like to be handled a lot, so whether we're out here bringing them in, you just got to pay attention to what the animal's doing and be aware of what their warning signs are.
On November 4th, bison producers from around the country will have a chance to purchase bison from the park.
We have a good diverse herd on their grass fed, so they're a wanted commodity, and we have folks from all over the country that come out here to pick up animals from Custer State Park, and it is fascinating to see where our animals go and where they end up and the stories behind them.
You can read more about the Buffalo Roundup in the next Ag Week magazine and at agweek.com. A new app could make living in a rural area much more convenient. When Kyle Courtney began working on an older home near Oaks, North Dakota, he quickly became aware of all the tools and equipment he would need. With the largest town 55 miles away, he became tired of all the trips to get things he needed to complete the day's renovation task. That's when inspiration struck and Courtney created RentEase.
And being a farmer, I looked around my farmyard and I looked at all the items that we have that we use 2 or 3 weeks out of the year, and the rest of the time they just sit there and depreciate and aren't doing anything or gaining value. So I started thinking to myself, there has to be an easier way to do this. And I came up with an app called RentEase. And what that does is it allows individuals or businesses to add their items to a site and be able to rent them out and generate revenue from it. It also lets people know what's available in their community.
RentEase is now available on the App Store in 13 states. Coming up on AgweekTV, we'll take a look into dry bean research.
Getting down to business on the farm means hitting the office early, making sure your team's ready to go, getting updates from the field, and talking with your management team. At Bremer Bank, we understand the business of farming and how to protect and grow your operation, so you can be sure your present and your future are in good hands.
At Vatterstad, we're partnering with North American farmers to create the perfect emergence. We're doing this with new and innovative tillage, planting, and seeding solutions, optimized for the field conditions that you face, and with industry-leading capacities to help you get the job done in short windows of time, so you can maximize yields. Vatterstad, we look forward to growing together.
There's no easy button, no guarantees, or promises of a good year. This is farming. It's unpredictable and demanding, with long days and sometimes stressful nights. It's weathering the storms and coming out successful. Farming isn't for everyone. We thank those who make it their life, because it is for everyone.
Hi, Bill Kelsey here, Geringhoff Territory Manager, covering northern Minnesota and the Dakotas. At Geringhoff, we offer a full line of the best harvest headers and residue management systems on the market.
Contact me today to discuss your farm's needs. From there, I'll connect you with an authorized Geringhoff dealer.
Prairie welcomes you back for the second annual Full Pod event. Join us with the Millennial Farmer, Ryan of Ryan's Farming Videos, Larson Farms, and Tony Fast at Fast Ag Montana.
Come see me, Tony Fast, Fargo, North Dakota at the Prairie's Full Pod event, November 30th. For details, go to prairie.com/fullpod.
Don't miss Prairie's Full Pod event, Thursday, November 30th at the Fargo Holiday Inn. Get your tickets today at prairie.com/fullpod.
Our Ag Week Dry Bean Tour is brought to you by the North Harvest Bean Growers Association.
Our Ag Week Dry Bean Tour continues this week. I met with Dr. Juan Osorno to discuss dry bean research. Dr. Osorno, tell me about your dry bean research.
Well, we do a lot of things here regarding dry bean research. I want to start by saying that North Dakota is the largest producer of dry edible beans in the U.S. So about 30-40% of the total U.S. comes from here. So I mean, it's an important crop for us. If you add Minnesota, which is our neighbor, we're talking about 50% combined, almost, right? So it's an important crop in the region. NDSU started a dry bean breeding project in 1980. More or less. Dr. Ken Grafton was the previous breeder. I'm the second breeder. Our goal is to produce improved varieties of dry beans that are adapted to our North Dakota conditions, right? Which are quite unique because we have a lot of problems with diseases, fungal, bacterial diseases. We also have problems with abiotic stress, flooding, right? It's a big issue when we plant the beans in late May, June, then they start flooding because we get a ton of rain. Drought in July, August, we get barely no rain. So now you need a dry bean variety that needs to be waterlogging tolerant at the beginning, but also drought tolerant.
In terms of disease and pests, are there any new issues that you're seeing within the dry beans?
Nothing that I will call new. We always had issues with white mold. I guess that's our number one fungal disease. Common bacterial blight is always there. Root rots in the case of the Minnesota. Minnesota produces a lot of kidney beans, and they have a lot of issues with root rots. We need to solve somehow the white mold problem. We've been working for years on white mold resistance, but it's a very difficult one. It affects many other crops that we grow in North Dakota.
Dry edible bean consumption is on the rise. Is that something that excites you with your research?
A lot, exactly, because we're seeing more relevance for the crop. We think that people understand more and more the value and the health benefits of eating dry beans. For example, we have a new subclass of pinto beans that we call slow darkening beans. They can hold the color over time much better than your regular pinto beans. But not only that, we also found that they are more nutritious because they have more iron available for your gut to absorb. So that's more nutrition, and they cook faster. So less time, less energy that we need to cook those beans. So all those things open really a lot of new opportunities. All this movement about plant-based proteins, it's huge.
Well, it is certainly important research. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. Yeah.
Dr. Juan Osorno. Our AgWeek dry bean tour will continue next week. Soybean harvest is well underway, and farmers are making management decisions on storage. Where they're going to market those soybeans will make a big difference on how they should handle them now. NDSU soybean expert Ken Helevang says optimal soybean storage is when moisture content of the bean is between 12 and 13%. But soybeans in the region generally have not been stored long beyond winter. New crush plants in the area will likely be looking for soybeans year-round, which means farmers who want to sell beyond spring will need to change the way they manage their beans.
We need to be thinking of what is required to store those beans through the winter and into next summer. And probably the biggest thing is the moisture content. Summer storage at 13% moisture is asking for trouble.
Helevang says the target moisture for long-term storage is 11 to 12%, but NDSU is researching soybean drying and storage in the northern tier. Minnesota's Ag Utilization Research Institute and soybean groups are working to develop new soy products and new markets for them around the world. The Ag Innovation Campus, a new small-scale crush plant, debuted this fall in Crookston, Minnesota. It will be used to experiment with new products from soybeans and some other crops that grow on a smaller scale in the state. Those include pennycress and hemp. AURI Executive Director Shannon Schleck says the facility is a step up from some of the initial product tests the facility already does. He says they'll be able to look for new uses and opportunities for soy oil and meal.
And how can we make this vision become a reality of really moving new opportunities forward and new market ideas for producers and to benefit agriculture overall.
In the first phase of the project, the facility will be able to crush about 8,000 bushels of soybeans a day. Production is ready to start as harvest gets rolling. The project is partially funded by the state in a collaborative effort between several agencies, including the Minnesota Soybean Research and Promotion Council and the Minnesota Farmers Union. Ahead on AgweekTV, we'll show you a new type of fire extinguisher that could save you loss on the farm.
A farmer's work is never done. You're not just planting a seed or harvesting a crop. You're growing a legacy. When you're up before dawn and out long past dusk, you need a banker who will work with your schedule, not the other way around. At Choice, we do banking differently, giving farmers like you time back to focus on what really matters. Choice Bank, top North Dakota Ag Bank for 10 years running, and always people first.
So in 2017, RTD developed a thing called Whip Drain, and it is a drainage and aeration platform for many types of stockpiles. Sand or aggregates, sugar beets or potatoes. We can drain the water away from the product, and we can also force air into the platform and aerate the whole bottom of it. We've designed it so you can operate 988 cat loaders. I think they weigh about 140,000 pounds. Whip Drain is engineered to withstand that type of treatment.
Built in North Dakota and delivered across the Midwest, every Pinky home is a custom home, designed for your family, built by ours. And with our on-site lumberyard and generations of experience, we can help build the home of your dreams without breaking your budget. Build something that lasts. Build with Pinky Homes. Get to know us and see all of your customization options at pinkyhomes.com.
Life at Butler Machinery is more than just a workplace. It's a place where I've met quality people that have helped me grow to who I am today. They're more than simply coworkers to me. They're my team. They're people that I can rely on and that rely on me to complete the day-to-day tasks. Butler truly values their technicians with ongoing training throughout the year to keep us up to date on our products. Join the Butler family like I did. Apply today at butlermachinery.com/lifeatbutler.
The story of a farm is the story of a family. From generations past to generations to come, families have raised their children and the crops that sustain our country on the same fields. Today, with a better nitrogen, farmers can continue to take care of what matters most, the land they work and the people they do it with.
AgWeek weather is sponsored by Bremer Bank. Connect with a banker today at bremer.com.
After some unseasonable temperatures, can the region expect to cool down? Here's our AgriWeather outlook.
Here we are now into the heart of October, the middle of October, and we're looking at a weather pattern that quite frankly is a little bit strange, which is quite typical for the middle of the fall season. Lots of swirls, lots of things we call cutoff lows, lots of blockiness setting up across North America and Europe as well. What it means for our area is if there are any first flakes of snow here and there, it would be in the northern areas where a little wet snow might mix in with a little rain shower. I don't see the first organized snowstorm. In fact, overall, all this convoluted jet stream mess that I'm about to show you is resulting in a relatively mild mid-October pattern. No sudden early start to winter yet. Now, we do at the moment have a fair amount of troughiness over the eastern part of the United States. That is definitely there. And what we're actually seeing, though, is that's pulling down some fairly cool weather, sending up some fairly mild weather northward into the central plains, and eventually this is going to form a bit of a cutoff low in this area as the main polar jet stream goes way up north. Southern branch of that jet heads across the south, and then we get this sort of cutoff low. What does that mean? It means we're going to keep things fairly mild. We'll keep the really cold air bottled up way up north. Alaska, northwest Canada will have some cold weather. The really hot weather, and by this time of year, I'm talking about that being 80s and around 90, mostly 80s actually. That's going to be along the Gulf Coast where it belongs this time of year. And most of the Great Plains and Midwest will look fairly warm. Now, the cold weather threatening into the Northeast, but with this cold low, it's not an Arctic air connection, so I don't anticipate anything terribly, terribly cold there. Moving on into the second week now. Now we're right into the middle part of the month of October. I think that closed low will finally kind of just spin itself into nothing, but we still have this split flow pattern over the eastern part of North America, which I think will basically keep the really cold air up north for the time being. All right, so what are we talking about with precipitation? As you might imagine, with this split flow pattern, with no real exchange of significant air masses, not talking about a whole lot of stormy weather. There may be some tropical moisture here, especially leftover storm coming into the Maritimes of Canada, and that could produce some fairly significant rain there. And some of those showers and thunderstorms will spin down to the Gulf Coast and down to Florida, which looks fairly wet for the time being. Late in this period, around mid-month, I do look for a fairly significant Pacific Northwest storm to move down in and bring some rain to Washington and Oregon. But a lot of the middle part of the country will be fairly dry, and it doesn't look like things will change as we go to the second week of the forecast. Most of the Great Plains Midwest, pretty dry.
Getting down to business on the farm means hitting the office early, making sure your team's ready to go, getting updates from the field, and talking with your management team. At Bremer Bank, we understand the business of farming and how to protect and grow your operation so you can be sure your present and your future are in good hands.
Get a jump on next season's crop. Before you put your planter away after the planting season, bring it to the experts at Titan Machinery for a full inspection. Titan Machinery service technicians have the experience and training to inspect your Case IH planter and get it in optimal condition for next season. Get a head start on next season and get the peace of mind that your planter is ready when you store it for the winter. Contact the planter experts at your local Titan Machinery Case IH dealership today.
Risk management is not just for the grains.
Livestock producers, did you know you too can protect the price for your production? Livestock Risk Protection, or LRP for short, is a great tool to help you protect the price of your calves. Cattle producers can also protect their pasture and hayland from lack of rainfall with Pasture Rangeland Forage, or PRF insurance. This is a very affordable way to help producers in times of below average rainfall. Call the Risk Management Specialist, Martinson Ag Risk Management.
When it comes to grain storage and handling solutions, one call does it all. Gateway Building Systems is one of the largest Brock bin dealers in the U.S. Our expert team is dedicated to creating a customized plan for your future success. Expanding your operation has never been easier with our range of Brock solid bins, grain dryers, conveyors, and more. As your trusted partner, we are committed to serving the needs of farmers. Take the first step toward success and call Gateway Building Systems today.
A fire can cause big damage on the farm. I traveled to Rochester, Minnesota to learn about Stop Fyre, a truly one-of-a-kind fire extinguisher that could help farmers save not only their equipment, but also their lives.
In the very beginning, why I got into the fire world was I was always fascinated with fire.
Alan Kronebusch always had a passion for fire, specifically fire safety. Having served as a firefighter for a handful of years, Alan had seen firsthand the devastation a fire can do. That's why he created Stop Fyre, a fire extinguisher that remains operational even after decades of not being used. Stop Fyre doesn't use powder like traditional fire extinguishers, meaning there is no mess or damage to farm equipment after use.
Farm equipment. It is consistent that I hear people telling me, this machine is $750,000. So why these individuals really appreciate Stop Fyre is the ease of use. They don't have to think about it because they got plenty of other things that they have to think about in their day-to-day and doing what it is that they do. And then when they do actually use Stop Fyre, it doesn't leave a corrosive mess all over everything, damaging metals and electronics, which pretty much all machines nowadays, all equipment, whether farm equipment or other equipment, heavy on the computerized this or that and very complex. Well, a corrosive powder can do a lot of damage to that.
Farms are often multi-generational. With Stop Fyre's small and compact stature, everybody on the farm can use it with ease.
You want the ability for anyone, whether they're a child or an older person, even if they happen to have bad arthritis or maybe they only have access to being able to use one hand.
Stop Fyre is completely made up of a liquid gas, making it have the ability to put out the fire just by being near it without even spraying the product.
You see, all I have to do is tip that cup and get it close, and the heat from the fire itself is actually drawing it in. It gives it the consumer, the farmer, the ability to put out a fire that other fire extinguishers simply don't get to.
Stop Fyre can also be used in homes, cars, RVs, and much more. For more information, please call the number or visit the website on your screen. Up next on AgweekTV, we see where rain is slowing winter wheat planting.
The story of a farm is the story of a family. From generations past to generations to come, families have raised their children on the crops that sustain our country on the same fields. Today, with a better nitrogen, farmers can continue to take care of what matters most, the land they work and the people they do it with.
Some things in life are hard. That's why banking shouldn't be. Cornerstone Bank.
Grain handling and storage projects done efficient, reliable, and hassle-free. with the one-stop shop of advanced grain handling systems. Get better test weights and less crop damage with their continuous mixed-flow grain dryers from Grain Handler and Nico. Get grain bins built to last from West Steel and Sioux Steel. Advanced Grain customizes each project to maximize your farm production. Contact Advanced Grain Handling Systems in Mayville for a free quote and site consultation.
It was October 1st, 2009. We needed some machinery for the farm. We decided to see if we could become a dealer, and that's kind of grown into what it's been today.
We offer basically anything short line. Seed tenders, fertilizer spreaders, sprayers. We can really set ourselves apart by the knowledge we have in those things, by the amount of units we have on hand at all times.
I just have a passion for helping people, getting to know people. It just becomes a lot of fun.
Dig, lay, and bury drain tile all in one pass with the Crary Tile Pro Plow. The Crary Tile Pro Plow lays tile up to 7 feet deep with boot sizes of 4 to 12 inches. Advantages of installing drain tile to your field provides increased overall yield, improved soil moisture levels, and controls soil erosion. It pays to tile with a Crary Tile Pro. To locate a dealer near you, visit www.crarytilepro.com.
Winter weed planting is wrapping up for the season across central South Dakota as producers work to plant around the rainy days.
Weather has been affecting winter wheat planting in central South Dakota the past couple of weeks.
Well, this year it's been a little bit of a struggle to get going. When I get started, it seems like it rains or it's really super foggy, so it's been a little bit of a challenge to get going, but there's a lot of good moisture. The wheat's going to come right up, and it should have good moisture to get a good start.
Weather conditions over the winter will be crucial to a good wheat crop.
If we could get the wheat up and going and then get some snow cover over it for the winter so it can kind of have some protection. There's really good residue in most of my fields. We're planting into stripped oat stubble right now, so there'll be a pretty good covering for it, but it's always nice to get some snow to be over top of it if we do get some of those harsh, cold, negative degree days.
Newthar said that fertilizer prices have made some positive impacts on planting this year, with urea prices dropping from $900 to $1,000 per ton to around $400 to $550 per ton. He hopes to be done planting winter wheat at the end of the first week of October. Stories you'll only see on AgWeek.com and in AgWeek magazine this week. North Dakota's brand inspection system is moving away from paper. And southeast Minnesota harvest appears likely to be highly variable after a historic drought. We appreciate you watching AgweekTV. Remember to check us out daily on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok to keep up on all your ag news. Have a wonderful week, everyone.